This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with Claude of X10 Revenue. At Adult Site Broker, we've doubled our affiliate payouts on ASB Cash. Now when you refer sellers or buyers to us, you'll receive 20% of our broker commission on any and all sales that result from that referral for life. You can either place a link to us on your site or refer buyers and sellers through an email introduction. ASB Cash is the first affiliate program for an adult website brokerage. Check out asbcash.com for more details and to sign up. We've also added an events section to our website at adultsitebroker.com. Now you can get information on B2B events on our website, as well as special discounts reserved for our clients. Go to adultsitebroker.com for more details. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We're proud to offer for sale a growing sex doll site. Started in 2016, it's grown to over $2 million in annual revenue. The owner is focused and invested heavily into SEO for the site, making sure to consistently rank at the top in the search engines for the main industry keywords. As a result, most of the traffic and sales are organic, coming from people who have searched for sex dolls on Google. Other strong sales channels are the 25,000 plus person email list and an affiliate program. The owner has developed relationships with the best manufacturers. The products are drop shipped directly from the manufacturer to the customer. The store has hundreds of 5-star reviews on the website and on third-party sites. The store currently has no employees aside from the owner, who works 10 to 15 hours a week on the business. SEO is handled by an agency. This is a business that can be grown by a company with experience in the novelties field. Only $2.72 million. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Claude from X10. Claude, thanks for being back with us today on Adult Site Broker Talk.
You're welcome, Bruce. How's it going?
It's going, man. How about you?
I'm good.
You've been busy. We'll talk about that. Not that you ever are not. Now, Claude has spent over 20 years building websites for the adult and mainstream industries. He started working with some of the pioneers of the adult web back in the early 2000s, building custom CMS platforms for some of the first adult websites ever launched. He developed new ways to automate photo and video content and caching systems, as well as introducing the first recorded and live video streaming platforms. Claude has developed and deployed thousands of adult content membership sites, video on demand, live cam, and many other types of adult and mainstream sites. Claude has also worked in the mainstream and adult space with virtual reality implementation, smart TV, and mobile app development. Claude's hunger to find new solutions and innovate new ideas has always driven his passion for new technologies. He's run a very successful business for more than 20 years and has helped thousands of clients to reach their goals of launching their adult or mainstream sites with a focus on scalability, monetization, and usability. The company is based in LA and Amsterdam. X10 Revenue at x10revenue.com is almost 3 years old. It's a culmination of 20 plus years of adult experience and a combined 100 plus years by their team of programmers, designers, and marketers. X10 Revenue licenses exclusively the X10 platform, x10platform.com, a 3-in-1 content management, live cam, and fan platform. It's an enterprise-level platform with over 21 years in real-world development and use. X10 is a multi-site solution running from one admin to deploy thousands of membership, cam, video, and video on demand and hybrid adult business models, all from one content pool. X10 Revenue also offers SEO marketing services and automation services to promote any adult site, no matter what technology they're using to manage their sites. Oh, take a breath there. Okay, so that's a lot. So, Claude, how can we adjust to the new world of interactivity beyond the membership model?
So I think I've said this many times before, and whenever I talk to my clients who come to me with a business model that they've been doing for a very long time and it's been working for
Mhm.
them, and they seem to be losing membership or losing recurring membership over time, and their year-to-year numbers are really kind of a loyal fan base that has come with them for 15 to 20 years. They see all the other platforms out there, and and a lot of the customers that have come to me have, in most cases, unique content. And they represent 5 or 7 or 8 or 10 different websites. And each of those websites is either a particular model or a niche that they really have owned for a long time. They come to me with, I've been doing what I've been doing, what I've been doing, what I've been doing for so long. And how can I grow and take advantage of what these other platforms are giving us? And a lot of them use them, by the way. They still want to own their brand. A lot of that is they don't want to give either the 20% or so to the platforms, or they just want to own and control the entire process as they've been doing in the membership world. So it's taking what they're doing membership wise and then adding in there a model subscription model, which is the first thing they want to do, which is allowing people to subscribe to an individual model as opposed to a major site.
Mhm.
And one of the things that, as the adult industry has changed in so many ways over the years, joining a mega site is really not what we do these days in any form, whether it's adult or non-adult. We want to feel like we're joining a someone's individual playroom, so to speak, and subscribe to that and have a unique experience. And when we talk about interactivity, we're talking specifically about the subscription gets you what? And the subscription is really just the entry door. It's the entry door to exclusive content. But that's no different than, let's say, a membership site that they would have now. It's just maybe packaged in a different way. It feels more like a social media blog feed than it would, let's say, a photo video gallery. And those are really the big differences. When they come to me and say, we see our numbers, we see how things are going, and what can we do that can offer our customers interactivity. We don't want people to just log in. In most cases, these are still membership content driven by the administrator. The administrator uploads content, let's say once a week or twice a week or so. The users are very used to this. They know that there are Tuesdays and Fridays updates, for example, and there are maybe a live cam once a week or something like that. And those are very typical models. The engagement level of those users is very low because they know I'll show up, I'll buy a membership, and I'll either subscribe for a trial and get what I want, and then download everything I need and then come back after a month. Or I'll know when those things, if I am a subscriber and I stay subscribing, I'll just log in on those days when I know there's new content and I'll download what I want, comment on it, and I'm out. The interactivity is not there. And so having daily updates that feel like a social media blog is really what's driving the driving force now. And also the custom content requests, then paid messaging or unpaid messaging, which is actually more popular. The idea of unpaid messaging is, yes, let the user pay for a subscription, but they get access to, not real time, of course, but they get access to messaging, web messaging with a model. And the idea of that is that they feel like they're connected to someone. And then that model is able to either bulk message or individually message to that user about their requests and needs. And there's a real connection there to a fan base. And that's really where that kind of begins and starts.
So, are some of your clients offering a fan type of membership as an alternative to buying a membership on the site?
So the ones that have had the most success are the ones that have left alone their membership based platform.
Mm-hmm.
And they have gone live with their current CMS and have left that alone, because a lot of the blowback that has happened in the past is if clients who have users who are recurring for 20 years don't like anything to change, whether it's links or URLs or favorites or comments, or just nothing needs to change. Don't change anything on me unless you absolutely have to, because it's a business decision or because the CMS is no longer working anymore. But I 100% say that it really works in tandem, where if you're a new site, then yes, you would be using our system for everything, which is membership, individual site or all sites, the affiliate backend, the video on demand, live streaming, messaging, all of that would be bundled into one system.
And the fan platform.
Correct. But what we found to be the most successful has been make it an augmented connection, direct connection to your NATs, if you're using NATs, or MPA free. If some people, believe me or not, some people still have MPA free that they purchased a long time ago, still running on their servers. And they, connect an affiliate system to that, keep your membership platform as it is, but add this as an augmented function or section of your website that then matches your look and feel, but doesn't. Users are so used to seeing and don't want to see something different so much, which is, let's call it black, mostly on the background, an enter-exit page, a big graphic, a tour with, traditional join gallery, photo updates, pages, very graphically heavy. In membership, when you log in, very similar, looks more like Netflix does, where it's just like video boxes and, everything is that's the traditional model that's still inactive. And those are the things that shouldn't change. But
Right.
what we found that to be really successful is to add a function or section in their membership area and non-membership area, which feels like a social media section of their site. And that is a feed that just goes on. And it could be black or white, doesn't necessarily have to be white, but it could mimic a lot of their look and feel of their own site, but it is clean. And so the idea is that it is super responsive, super clean, and it has, why are some of the big platforms very popular was because they don't offer too many options. It's, I can become a fan or not. And once I'm a fan, and once I become a fan, there's content that I can see or not, if it's free or not free, behind the firewall. But beyond that, there are options to purchase content. There are options to request a custom item of content, or even, as I said, to message the model, or to request a live cam either individually or on a scheduled basis or in a group chat. Those are the things that, the tip menu, which is really can be very, very customized to that end model's requirements and what they want. And those things can be turned off and on. We're going live right now with another website that it has no membership, right? So they've decided that their primary form of income is going to be only photo, video, content sales, and what they mostly make their money on, which is one-on-one live camming, I guess you'd call it. But they don't call it that. They call it, photo and video sexting or something like that. They're trying to reinvent the same thing, but basically it's giving that more of a Skype or a WhatsApp kind of feeling to the website, which just upgrades the same feeling.
Makes sense.
As I've said, those are the things that I've seen to be most popular, most beneficial, is to really have two segments. And this is kind of new. It's last year or so. But what we've seen happen is that membership plateaus and that non-membership, we'll call it the fans section, overtakes income-wise, way overtakes income-wise, because you have people who are instant recurring buyers. I'll pay $5 for a video. I'll pay $10 for this. I'll pay that. I'll pay this. I'll pay that. Rather, I'll tip. Tipping is important. And those are the things, as opposed to, well, you've got a $29.95 membership. And then maybe if you have 30 websites, you might pay $200 a month or something. There are still those models, by the way, that still exist. Beyond just the downloading of the content, where is the interactivity? And a lot of that content in the fans model, as you know, Bruce, it's not going to be highly refined.
Right.
And the clients that have come to me, I have 4 of them at the moment, they're all used to the highly refined business model, which is, for lack of a better term, it's a magazine, an adult magazine online. It's the Penthouse or the Playboy magazine. That a lot of this stuff is soft, by the way, and it's just very, very well produced and very high quality, and it's new and it's custom made for each membership site. But again, like I said, those things only have so much traction, as opposed to the fans and using it as an augmented add on to your own website.
Let me ask you something else. You mentioned something about you don't really want to mess with the membership site because people are used to it. They've been members for 20 years. But don't you think people should update their site from time to time and give it a new look?
It's a good question. And I think it comes down to, who are you as a business? Is your content compelling enough to warrant that update? And does that update make sense to that end user. And so I've had experiences where clients have gone live where they're still using Flash video, for example, and they're allowing their users to download that Flash video and then trying to instruct them on how to use it. Yeah, I believe it or not, it still exists today. They're saying I have 10,000 videos and photos.
Other than them.
Other than them, we have been very successful in porting over an older look into the new CMS. Yes, we've done that multiple times. Again, I say that with a caveat of, let's put it this way, whatever way you choose, whether it's an add-on to your own and you want to keep your members as they are in an old CMS, or you want to port over everything over to our CMS, there is a plus or minus. And the plus or minus to that is, if you know your clientele to be very fickle and very vocal in the way that they see anything change, then you stay away from it. If your users are really coming to you because the content is compelling, they seem more amicable to change, then I would say change. But we're selling it. Remember, the X10 is a box that we sell, Bruce, right? So the box comes with themes. And those themes these days are made to be Ajax friendly. Pagination is no longer something we use anymore. Amazon doesn't use it. Page 1 doesn't make a new page, and page 3 doesn't make a new page. It's all within the same page, and it's all searchable, indexable, filtered instantly to drill down, just like Amazon does on the left-hand side of the page. So those are the things that we've created because we know that people have more of a shopping experience. And other platforms and fans platforms, for example, they use the same methodology. They don't have multiple pages. Everything is done in the same page refreshing. So that's an example of what you're saying by new and old, because old is, you click on page 2 and you get page 2. And you can click on, and then if you bookmark page 2, which is the craziest thing, page 2 will change next week because new content will be added. It's really kind of rethinking how users interface with the website that they're using.
Right.
Because it's a better user experience means the user will stay longer. And that's ultimately, what it's all about. And it's about giving them the ability to go in and say, because you are, remember, from 2 days, 2 times a week, we're talking once a day or twice a day or 4 times a day of content being added, which can be scheduled.
Or rotated, of course.
Whatever, yeah, sure, scheduled ahead of time. Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, the clients that I've dealt with would never rotate content in their lives. And the craziest part about that, as we talked about AI, I've tried to convince them that, look, you aren't repurposing. This is a completely different version of what you've given them. And if you've got 10 years of archives, I guarantee you people don't, if you were to just repolish that stuff and resend it out, call it classic if you want, call it whatever. Don't try to tell the client that you're giving them what they want. But this is a great way to repurpose content.
It is. And we'll talk about that in a second. But what I meant by rotate is new content that's looking like it's added on the homepage, which is done a lot in CMSs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that. Now, you have got a new thing going where you're taking old content and repurposing it. Why don't you talk with AI? Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have a video background. So for me, I've always been interested in video, and I still do a lot of mainstream video production actually on the side. One of the things that have come up recently has been the evolution of AI. And one of the things that AI has done very well has been to repurpose the video and photo content. So it's not just video content, it's photo content as well, where we can take, say, for example, a standard definition video and upgrade it all the way to 4K and still not lose the quality where it looks new and 60 frames per second. It does require a lot of tweaking, and it does take a lot of computer power. An hour, let's say 1 hour video could take a day or two. Maybe a 20-minute video could take about 4 to 6 hours. And this is using I'm not a mega supercomputer, but like a really good home computer that's like a gaming computer or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Something with a lot of power.
Yes, near it still take a good 2 to 4 hours of processing time, because it really takes up a lot of processing to go from 480 to 4K. And of course, you can go from 480p. You can also do 720p and 1080p, of course, and you can do any other version between those to 4K. And if you tweak it enough and you know how to make it look good and don't overprocess it, it kind of brings up a whole new world of content that has never been repurposed again. And if we're looking at the years from 2000 to now, and 23 years have gone by, yes, we had mini DV and Betacam and Beta. I don't know what people have filmed in, but most people have probably filmed in mini DV back in the day, or maybe if they've got money, they had money, they probably did Betacam, Betacam SP, which is mostly standard def. If those things were repurposed, and if they're filmed well, and let's face it, I mean, hairstyles haven't changed like they did in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, the last 20 years, I think, yes, people can definitely see, oh, yes, if they recognize the girl or they know the girl or the guy, they'll basically know, yes, that's definitely different. That's old content. But there's just a latitude that we didn't have. I can't take something from 1974 and pull it off as something that was filmed yesterday. And I don't even think that's the purpose of it. It's just about giving it a new vamp in quality. And clients that have come to us who have really embraced this have been who have lease galleries where they're selling content. And it gives them the ability to sell it now in a different version for a higher price than they ever did. And that's just we now have a 4K version of the same content. And as you said, Bruce, the rotating of content gives it validity because now you can rotate it again where it's now high resolution and looks sharp. And photos too, as I said, so you could take if I remember my photo resolutions, maybe a 2K photo, right? And you could quadruple it. You could probably make it, let's say 4,000 pixels, 6,000 pixels, 8,000 pixels. Oh, and colorize it. You could even colorize it. Not that in adult that matters. I'm again, my brain is thinking it non-adult, but I've been working with a museum here in Texas who has 1908, 1898 photos. They look amazing when they get reprocessed through AI. Completely different, colorized and cleaned. All grain gone and all those, little hairs gone and all that stuff. It's amazing what can be done. That's something that's really cool. And that's what I've been embracing lately into our X10 encoder.
Nice. So beyond just choosing a CMS, what is the best approach to move forward with a new website?
So if we just take away the technical side away from it, let's say that's the CMS side has been resolved. Let's talk about what really is a good business decision to make to move forward into, future-proof your business, right? And this has been based on my observation of clients that I've seen plateau and clients that I've seen can't keep enough money in the bank. And they all have something in common, which is they have a brand of sorts. It doesn't mean that they're really, really popular, but they have a loyal fan base. They have a loyal brand. They might have 1 site, some might have 30 sites. One of the things, Bruce, one of the most common things I've seen of people who are successful are they work all the time, right? I don't necessarily say that that's really the key to life. I've onboarded 4 clients in the past 6 months or so, and all of those 4 that were really successful had one thing in common, and that was they were willing to learn new technology and new ways to learn their business without my help. So they learned how to change their own DNS. They learned how to make changes on a server or on their own software. If we're talking about CMSs, some of them I ported over still use their old CMS, which is 20 years old. So I have some clients who decided to use my system for fan base and they want to use their old CMS for everything else. But the commonality that I found was that they all have this, I'm not afraid to learn something. I want to learn every single aspect of how to do this. And what I've done successfully, working with Mojo Host and all their brilliant help, has been I install things like Direct Admin and cPanel because I like to have clients have the ability to go in and make their own, at least these certain kinds of clients. So identify a certain kind of clients that know, well, yeah, I want this control and I'm not going to just screw up my whole business, right? I'm meticulous enough where I can go in and know how to edit a database or know how to change something or add a domain or change my SSL. Those are all the things that are so important, I think, to moving forward.
I've got access to all that, but my dev doesn't. I don't do it.
But I'm sure, Bruce, you're the kind of guy that if you wasn't around, right, and you needed something had to be done, you could go to YouTube and say, how do I reboot my server, right?
I'd be in trouble, but anyway.
Well, like I said, those are the kinds of clients that I have found very more difficult to port over to the new way of doing things unless you're willing to really pay a lot of money for dev. And those are fine. We have support packages. I've always said we have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 a month support packages. And the 5,000 a month support package gets you like a 30-hour development inclusive with someone on Skype that will basically be your full-time person. So you can scale those things. The takeaway for me has been finding that middle ground between, well, I want to save money, but I also want to grow my business. And I think those two things are really not compatible. So you can go three ways, right? You can say, I want to downsize everything I have. I want to get a smaller server, and I want to get a cheaper CMS and all this other stuff, and everything is cost based. And I want to do everything I want to do it all myself, and that's acceptable. There's no issue with that. Or there's the other side of the coin, which says, okay, well, I want all of this new stuff. I want to have scalability, and I want to have all these new functionalities and different billing options and all this other stuff that's crypto and whatever else. But I'm going to have to hire someone to do that.
Hey, you know what? I constantly tell people in my consulting business that if you want to be successful, unless you already know how to do everything yourself or are willing to learn, that you better be ready to invest some money. There's no in between.
Correct. And be loyal to the people who are loyal to you.
Absolutely.
This is another thing that's very important. And understand also that I've had to bring back a client that was very used to having a full-time server admin person and very used to having things, none now. Like I need some SSO installed or something. But luckily he's the kind of guy that learned. I showed him how, and he knew how, and now he feels great about that. But that was another client who said, I can't afford the X thousands of dollars a month that I'm spending on. I have a developer who's on a retainer. I have a server administrator on a retainer. I have 20 servers around. I have, massive infrastructure where, again, Bruce, remember what I said, but with a losing, plateauing business where all his business, 80% of his business is platform based, right? Clip sites, fan sites. So he looks at it and goes, well, do I just get rid of all of this, or do I downsize it? Do I streamline it somehow? Do I update it?
Well, you need to make a decision. I mean, if you're not making enough money to support your infrastructure, then you've got some decisions to make. And sometimes I have people come to me to sell who they get in that situation. They're doing fairly well, but they're just spending too much money. So look, you got a plan, you got a budget. So what are your best selling solutions if someone owns their own content?
Are you talking about a new client, or are you talking about someone that's already have a website available?
Either way. Let's assume it's somebody new. Let's say they've got content, but they want to start a website.
The best way to make money on the adult business, even today, I always say, is to have really good traction in SEO and in social media, and have a 1, 2, 5, 10 models or so that can go out and push for you, or you partner with, that can go out and create that content with you or have that content with you. So I think that partnerships are really important, right? So I had sent you a client that was having that very issue that you had said, Bruce, which was sitting there on a plateau of lots of content around for 7 years and was trying to wonder, how do I go to the next level? And so it's the partnership, and it's the partnership between the technical person, or the person who can make the content, create the content, upload the content, and then the marketing person. Almost never I've seen it be the same person. Very, difficult to run your own ship. But I think those partnerships become important, which perfect partnerships that I've seen have been a model, man or woman, popular, does what they do, which is they get on camera, they film, they get out there, they go on social media. And those people say, okay, well, I want to make a site, or I have a site, and I need a site or something else. And I partner with someone that can then run that whole entire system. And those are the ones that take off really quickly. And those are the ones that do really well, because they basically are just migrating over their entire brand to a new CMS. And that's what I've seen be extremely successful. And you only need one model really to run an entire business. As you said, Bruce, you have to know what your infrastructure is, and having 30 sites and 50 sites and 100 sites. So that client that I'd sent to you actually has found, I don't know if you've kept up with him, but he found a marketing person. hopefully it's going to work out for them, because it's like you said, it's the marriage that has to be found. And I think those are the things that make, just coming in. And I have so many clients to just come on board and they say, okay, well, how do I make money? And people think that, it's 20 years ago where you just turn the light switch on and adult makes money. And that doesn't exist.
I was talking to somebody about that yesterday, as a matter of fact. Times have changed. I mean, you come into the adult space, you can't assume that anything you put online that's porn is going to be successful, right?
No, you cannot.
We remember the good old days. If someone is choosing a CMS, why should they choose X10?
As I've always said, I have been referred to, and this is not my words, nor is it my ego, is that when they've literally looked at both, they say we are comparing a Ferrari to a Buick. And that is really the difference. And what that means is usability, functionality, how it works, how it's coded, how scalable is it? And just briefly going into those. So, our administrative area has over 287 items in it. Sometimes we've had to deploy versions to clients who have quite literally told us, take away everything. I don't want to see it. I want to know that it's there, but just show me the 20 items that I need to see. Make me an admin like that because it's too extensive. We have so many functions. For example, pre-roll ads, banners, image ads on top of video, things that YouTube does, for example, if you're running a tube site, or pay-per-view, a paper download, physical products, digital downloads, and it goes on and on and on. We even have couponing and eBay type options, and all that stuff goes on and on into, the fact that we as a CMS, think of it like a circle in the middle, and this is the X10 CMS, and outside are all the tentacles that are, for example, we have a WordPress plugin where you can literally extract content into your WordPress website using your own themes, and everything clicks into the CMS. We have an automation system with the AI that we've talked about, but also for encoding, where you can automatically tag video content depending on what it sees using Google AI and IBM Watson. Again, these are all things that we've over the years we've created. We have our own affiliate system, we have our own agent partnership option, and all those modules coexist into the one platform that all can become one repository for all your content. So when someone comes to us and says, yes, my users are going to be happy with me having a new membership site, sure, they're not going to cry because the URLs are changed, okay, then when that happens, really they get the benefit of is that all of let's say they have 30 sites, all those sites can run under that one CMS using that one content pool. And the only difference is how you tag the content for each site. And the theme that site shows is all just cookie-based, based on the URL that it detects that the URL comes from and the theme that's been connected to it. So everything is within that one system. We don't have to, in other CMSs that we've seen, you have to have a tour for every single public HTML folder when you install it on your server, and each of those has to have its own tour folder, and it just becomes a lot of work to maintain. To have to say, I have all of the, if let's say I have 30 sites, well, I have to make an update. I have to do that to all 30 locations of those tours. It's a nightmare. And so, for example, one thing we've just done now also for a client has been, the client wants almost every tour to look almost identical, except for the colors and the logos. And so we actually just have the same tour. We just changed the logic in the background to make it so that the logo changes and the colors changes, and he's done. Again, my whole thing is, I've been watching a lot of Star Trek lately. Maybe I'm part Borg. I'm all about how can I make it more efficient and how can we make it, closer to perfect as possible. I'm an efficiency nut. That's always been, my thing. I've probably unemployed more webmasters in my life than anyone I've probably ever met in the adult business, for sure. Because every time I come on board, everyone goes, because it's like, well, you don't really need 20, like we said, back to infrastructure. We don't need all those people. They're very beneficial, and webmasters are always required, of course. But I'm talking about back in the day where I had worked for a company where I think there were 8 people in that company working full time. It was one guy just color correcting photos, and there was another guy doing the video uploads. And that's just not necessary, to do anything like that anymore.
That's true. And I remember taking a demo. It's been some time back, so I'm sure, knowing you, Claude, you've added a lot. You just mentioned some things you've added lately, and it was stunning. It was amazing. I've got to say that it was quite impressive. So, in your mind, what does the future look like for the adult industry?
Like I think in every other industry and everything else in the world, I think there's definitely a consolidation of everything in every company. We come down to 5 corporations running the US and that kind of thing. It's already happening in adult, and it's already happened for years in adult. As I've said so many times, I'm always an optimist. And I always believe that no matter how big or small, I think, if you watch the Shark Tanks and, I think there was a guy with the guy that invented the ring. I saw that show a while ago. They rejected his offers. And ultimately now he's worth billions and sold to Google. I think the entrepreneurial, adventure of people who say, I have something different and unique to do, and I can do this. Try to port this over in a regular business. I think it's extremely difficult to do in a mainstream world where you say, well, I have an idea to sell content, but it's like, well, what portal are you going to go? You can't, the social media and everything else that you can just go onto. Why would you ever build your own? But I still find that to be interesting in the adult space. And I think it's really on a couple of points. And one is a lot of people have just gotten dislisted from either social media accounts or adult platforms, right? For whatever reason. And building a business and a brand that you spent 20 years doing and not having that control of your brand and having a usership, let's say, of 10,000 users that are all on a platform that you don't control and manage is a very scary thing to do. I'm not saying that you don't do that, because the reason why those platforms are so popular is because they have the usership. That's it. They have the trust of the user. The user knows they're going to pay by credit card, and they're not going to get their credit card stolen. And they already have a balance with that e-wallet in most instances, right? With whether that CAM or fan side. So there's a trust there, and there's a brand trust. And that's a very difficult thing to do and to port over. But if you can have a 30 or 40% of your business being something that you manage and control, domain-wise and everything else, I think there's so much still value. And I still see people every day come saying, I have an idea, I have a concept, this is new, this is something I want to do. I want to do like a VIP plan or something like that. I've had clients say, we're going to charge $500 a month or something, and this is what we're going to offer. And we're going to offer, people can go on cruises, and, it's just always different concepts. And a lot of those platforms just won't do that for you, because they'll be like, well, hey, we're not going to take a $500 a month plan, but you can, you talk to the right banks and talk to the right solutions. And that's where I come in. I've had these relationships with CC Bill and Net Billing and everyone else out there that for an Orbital Pay and everyone else that I can, on Epoch, of course. I tell them, hey, this is what they want to do. Let's get them fast tracked, because I know how to get them approved, because their business model is sound and they seem like they know what they're doing. Otherwise, it's just, I think I've had so many clients who have probably not gone through, haven't continued on, or maybe haven't, we've lost pass over the way. And a lot of that has just got to do with either something internal happened where there was like a business relationship that didn't work out, or it just felt too overwhelming for them to take on. That's what it really came down to. It's very easy to go to a platform and then just take it. Hey, here's your percentage, and let me just do what I do.
Well, that's the easy way. I mean, there are creators that are making more themselves than a lot of sites. So wouldn't it just make sense, instead of just throwing all that money to OnlyFans, to have their own site? And what about those people?
We have had that happen, and a lot of them had gotten dislisted from OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was actually ID verification related, where the banks are kind of, they know you can't control content. The banks who are savvy, the ones we talk to, know that there's no way you're going to monitor all your content. It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen in the world. No one does that. There's a report button, and then there are KYC stuff you can do. For example, there's a company called Onato that we're just integrated with, by the way, that does KYC externally for you, and you don't have to worry about the ID being stolen and all that stuff. You can only use it by phone, really. It's successful because your camera doesn't really focus very well on your computer. But, most models use camera, and use phones. So we just integrated with that, by the way, and it works great. You put your camera, you hold your ID up, you put your face in front of the camera, and it literally checks the database and makes sure that you are who you are. And those things have eliminated a lot of those issues that those models have had. And the banks know that, well, you might have 4 people in a video with you, and those other 3 people don't even look underage, but you have their IDs. And in most cases, that content could be old. And these are the things that come into why they do move over to the non-OnlyFans system, because on OnlyFans, they can't show the very content that's the most explicit, even though they owned it, but they don't have IDs on every single person. And well, actually, I'll go one more step. They actually have the IDs, but they don't have the IDs of the person actually like putting their hand up with the OnlyFans logo or whatever, they need. That's the issue. And so that model is already gone. They probably did their thing for years ago, right? And no longer in the business. You have to track them down to say, hey, I need you to, can you do me a favor? I want to make more money on OnlyFans that you get nothing out of because I paid you 10 years ago. But hey, can you give me an ID? Can you hold up the word OnlyFans in today's date so that I can allow you to be on this website? And in most cases, they'll say no, because either they won't be in touch with them or I want money.
If you can find them, right?
Exactly. Because let's put it this way, that's not required. That there's zero requirement in that for a regular content website, right? Where there's no requirement for that. The bank does not say, well, your ID is not good enough. I see your model release. I see your ID. That's not good enough. I want you to have the person holding up your website name, with today's date. That doesn't happen. And so that's where a lot of people poured over, where it's like, well, there's 2 levels of compliance, right? One for a platform and one for the individual websites. The way they get around it, by the way, Bruce, I think anyway, is that there are multiple OnlyFans accounts that are free. So they don't charge anything, but then they link to other ones which do charge. Because it's no charge, just like Twitter has these weird rules where if it's legal and you're paying, Twitter doesn't have any 2257 on anybody, right?
Twitter does not, no.
Does not. And they get around it because they don't charge the user. I don't understand that law completely.
Don't worry, it's coming.
We've gone through compliance processes with these banks, and they send 31 items to check, and they're very extensive, and we've gone through them more times than once. And they're small things, it's like terms and conditions have to be correct, price for privacy has to be correct. When you use the word membership recurring, you have to use the words like, you will be charged X amount USD today, and it has to be rebilled at this amount.
Got to be spelled out.
100%. And we've done all that. And then, of course, you can't charge less than $5. You can't charge more than $300 unless you're specially approved. But Bruce, I think, we're talking about new clients, right? So all your clients usually have merchant accounts that don't have all this because they have history, because they've been around a long time. They don't have the same compliance levels that we've seen for new clients because they don't have history. That's why I've always seen people who come to me new. Hey, we're already on every platform. I've had models who come and say, yeah, we're on every platform. I had one model who's making $6 million a month, but wants to come over because she wants to manage her own domain. She's a businesswoman, right? And she says, okay, well, I'm going to bring over 40 of my friends and I'm going to own my own place. I'm going to own my world. And because 40 becomes 400, it becomes 4,000. If this wasn't the adult business, then those kinds of models would probably just be bought out by other companies, right? They do that anyway in the back end. I know that's what you do, but you know what I mean? Like publicly, they would just go public and then flip, right?
Yeah, we do have, for instance, some clips for sale sites that are being brokered now, or pages, I should say.
Own your own client. I've said this before, maybe in other podcasts with you, but it's always been for me, it's own your own client. The $4 million per month model example I gave you, who makes all that money right now on platforms and is moving to their own platform, does not have the ability to cross-promote any of those end users in any which way.
I'll tell you something else, that if tomorrow OnlyFans once again says we're getting rid of porn, then that 4 million goes down to 0. So that's another risk that they take. And the best way to mitigate that is to own everything. And that includes their own site, which you certainly can help them with.
That has been my go-to thing. Yeah, I have 2 kinds of clients. They've been around for, archived classic clients, 20 years around, who are looking to get into new business models or revamp their technology, or it's the popular platform model who either wants to create their individual website or multiple websites, who says, I want to own my own brand. We've gone through so many of these renditions where I pull my hair out, whatever hair I have left, where the model will go back and forth, and then I can only convince so much. I mean, for me, if I was making anywhere near that much money as a model, I would probably have 20 different ways to make money off of my websites, off my content, because I'd want to own brands. I'd own like a tube site of my own, to be honest. Actually, this is what I would do. I would own a tube site. I would own my own clip site. I'd own my own fan site, my own individual site. Let's call it a profile site. And those are the things that I would do. I'd have everything locked in because I'd want to own everything. And I'd still work on the platforms. But I will say, Bruce, that there has been some flack, I guess, from platforms knowing if models have been working on their own systems. I have heard of that. I have seen it firsthand in some cases. And I think that's kind of made a little bit of the decision-making process a little more difficult for models to say, can I have my cake and eat it all?
I think there's a legal case to be made that if they discriminate against them, that could certainly be a lawsuit. I'd be curious to hear what some of our legal eagles have to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But that's also been the pushback on our end, has been the fear and knowledge that they're going to lose it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Claude, I'd like to thank you for being our guest again today on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I hope we'll get a chance to do this again soon.
My broker tip today is part 8 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. Last week, we talked about information needed to give the buyer and being transparent with the buyer. Here's more information on what to give to a potential buyer. How well has your content been protected from piracy, and what steps have you taken to protect your content? Are you using a piracy takedown or monitoring service? These are important facts to know. What promotional tools do you offer to your affiliates? The more tools you offer, the more successful your affiliates will be. What's your traffic breakdown by country? Tier 1 countries like the USA, Canada, the UK, Germany, and Australia are the most preferred. Add in anything else that will add value to the sale of your property that you can think of, such as what custom scripts do you use? What content management system software is on your site? Do you use billing or affiliate software like Nats? What is your retention rate? How you retain your members is of the utmost importance. How many joins and rebills do you have per day? Do you buy advertising? And if so, what kind? Can your content make more money in the DVD or VOD markets, or have you already taken advantage of this opportunity? How much did you spend to produce or buy the content that's on your site? What do you believe the content is worth now? We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week we'll be speaking with Steve Lightspeed of deepfake.com. And that's it for this week's Adult Site Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Claude Lai of X10 Revenue. Talk to you again next week on Adult Site Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.